Bad Odd Bears fans, another edition of the Chicago Bears podcast coming your way. Pat the Designer, Shea Norling back in the building, ladies and gentlemen. We got a lot coming your way on today's episode. Ben Johnson defending his young quarterback and basically what every coach is going to say in this situation. Yep. The past is the past and I don't care. Let's win now. Vegas has some interesting odds about the Chicago Bears that we have to delve into here. And the Bears are moving to Arlington Heights. Did we just do all of this for nothing? Did it matter?
What a waste of time.
Like honestly.
Just a waste of time. I feel like a shovel could have been in the ground 2 years ago if they would have just not done the flirt with the lakefront.
Brother, a shovel. We could have had bulldozers taking care of stuff. We could have had cranes in the sky.
You could be putting the roof on the building today. If you just didn't do this whole flirt thing, the whole flirt nonsense with the lakeshore.
Sometimes you got to flirt, though. Sometimes you give a little flirt, you see what's out there, and it brings you right back home. All that and more in today's episode of the Chicago Bears podcast.
I've said this to you before. I don't care where they play football.
Just win.
I care that they win.
I said it this morning. I was like, they could play in the backyard, and I'd be happy to park on my porch.
I've always said they could build a raft in the middle of Lake Michigan.
Yes.
Have them play football on a barge in Lake Michigan. If they win games, I don't care.
Does that instantly become best stadium in the league?
Worst, because it would be impossible to get to. But they've never cared about that while being at Soldier Field. So you might as well put it on a barge in the lake.
Your advantage is wild there. Like a wave comes through and it throws off the O-line's movement.
Yeah. You also have to deal with the wave.
Hey, we appreciate you guys for rocking with us, man. Chicago
the O-line can't snap the football. They just got hit by a tsunami. Unfortunately, our entire defensive line drowned.
Tsunami? What's going on in Lake Michigan, dog?
There was a dust storm 2 days ago.
Bro, what happened? God was putting up wilt numbers this weekend. What was going on?
I'm just saying.
I was in it. I literally, it was Friday, like 3 or 4 o'clock, something like that. I'm heading to the liquor store. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna grab a bottle. My wife wanted some stuff. I'm like, all right, we're gonna have a fun weekend. I had to build stuff from IKEA. They may sponsor one day. I'll keep my comments to myself.
I think you just shared them. So.
Gotta build stuff. You know what I mean? So
they are a wonderful station partner.
Phenomenal company. But no, bro, I'm watching this wall come at me. And I'm like, what is this? And then everybody's phone in the store goes off, dust storm. I'm like, there's no way this is a dust storm. Tree next to me, full 90 degrees this way. I was like, I need to go home. This is about to get bad. I drive ahead of it like 20 minutes. My wife calls me. Hey, can you stop and get me some of those new McChicken strips? Ma'am, did you not get the alert? Nah, it'll be fine. You'll beat it.
I can't see.
You'll beat it. I stopped for her. I'm like, all right, like, feeding the kid, you know what I mean? Need some energy.
Were they a little dusty?
I'm watching it just slowly roll towards me because McDonald's is moving the slowest they've ever moved in life. I thought it was over. I made it home. I got home safe.
We're happy.
It was very dusty. The next day.
Dude, I had to wash my car the day after.
I did too.
Because it looked like I went off-roading in Algeria.
Yeah.
It was absurd.
It was interesting. Where did the dust come from? That's my biggest question.
Spin zone. The last time dust storms were common was the last time the Bears were perennially.
Oh, and we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Chicago Bears podcast brought to you by Advantage Dealer Group. Find your next Chevy, Toyota, or Acura. Drive off in under 60 minutes and they'll make your first car payment. Also brought to you by the Hard Rock Casino in Northern Indiana, located 30 minutes from Soldier Field, I-80-94, exit 6, and football conversation starts here.
There's your timestamp.
There's your timestamp, ladies and gentlemen. I know you need it. Ben Johnson coming out and defending Caleb Williams. I'm sure at this point everyone has talked about this whole the book that's coming out. Caleb Williams' comments on, I don't know if I can do it in Chicago. All of his father's comments on how he hated Chicago before this. And then Caleb Williams in the end going, I can do this for Chicago. Nobody paid attention to any of those comments. Just all of the things that were negatively said, that was the problem. But Ben Johnson came out and actually talked about The whole situation on Colin Cowherd. I don't know if he was scheduled or if Cowherd just got him on that day, but the timing of it was perfect. Do we have those? I love it. I love it. I thought the comments were on point because we knew last year was terrible.
Yeah.
We knew last year was not a good situation for a rookie quarterback to come out of. 68 sacks. Everything that the concerns that were there were proven to be true concerns.
Yep.
But Ben Johnson saying we're moving forward with a little bit of a. I was impressed by that a little bit. He got a little pop lock in his game.
That wasn't bad.
It was impressive. What were your thoughts on Ben Johnson coming out and defending his young quarterback?
I need him to throw for 4,000 yards so we can stop hearing about that, for the love of God.
Yeah.
And I don't view it as all that important. Like, we're going to get to some of the odd stuff in a little bit. The MVP of the league last year did not throw for 4,000 yards. It's not an end-all, be-all thing.
The Super Bowl winning quarterback.
But I
did not throw for 4,000 yards.
100% true. Patrick Mahomes damn near didn't get there. I don't even know if he did, actually, off the top of my head.
I do believe he got there last year. I did double check.
The point I'm making is this can't continue to be the end-all, be-all. It has to be 4,000 yards or it was a failure.
Yeah.
Like, I keep reading articles now. Ben Johnson has set the goal for Caleb Williams.
You are right. 39-28.
There you go. It's 4,000 yards. Why? How about X number of wins?
Yeah.
We want to win 9-10 games. If he throws for 3,300 yards and the Bears win 10 or 11 football games, is anybody going to care that Caleb didn't have 4,000 yards? No, of course not. It's silly. It's just some thing that's out there. Nobody actually, it's not tangible. It's not something you can reach out and touch.
Yeah.
Just there's different ways to succeed. I want him to get 4,000 yards because if you do, you probably had a really good season. But Joe Burrow led the league in passing last year. Did the Bengals make the playoffs?
Almost.
It's just,
I
want to
literally
stop hearing about that.
The only thing about Burrow, I feel like that's the worst example you can use because literally I was like, y'all might have to give this dude the MVP if he gets 9
and I
wins.
get it.
Like it was literally like they're winning because of his arm, and that's it.
I get it, but it's also you are throwing the ball so much because you are chasing points.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be in that scenario.
No, I agree.
And I don't think this is going to be some nuclear high-flying offense that just goes like Lion style. We're going to get 7,000 yards and go nuts. I don't need 4,000 passing yards. I need a playoff berth. That's where my expectations lie. And I really just want to stop hearing about 4,000-yard passer in the Chicago Bears. Do it, great, and then we won't have to ever hear about it again.
Only thing I'll say is this: 4,000 yards is not crazy, especially with 17 games.
Yeah,
it should not be this unattainable stat or something that we did. Like it should be. You should. What is it? 253 a game, basically. You should be able to get 253 a game or 257, I think.
Listen,
a game. You should be able to get 257 a game. In a Ben Johnson offense. 257
a game is a very good day at the office. 17 times. Like, especially now.
But you got to think about the average. You're going to have a 320. Caleb has had, what do you have, 300-yard games last season but with Shane Waldron's offense? The goal is to eliminate the 111.
Those are fewer and further between, though. And Patrick Mahomes had a few games he didn't get to 200 yards also.
Yeah.
They were still good. They went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts, how many times was his stat line 12 of 18 from 140?
Yeah.
Like that, the league has changed. It's a cyclical sport. 10 years ago, everybody wanted to get to 5,000 yards. Stafford did it. Eli Manning did it. Tom Brady did it. Phillip Rivers, I think, did it. Everybody had to get to 5,000 yards. The chase wasn't 40 touchdowns. It was 50 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Now it's not that anymore. Last year, there was more two-high safety played than ever. They cut off parts of the field. The deep ball stuff went away. Teams went back to running the ball. It was one of the most productive running years we've had in a decade.
Yeah.
And the result was the MVP of the league had 3,800 yards passing. Patrick Mahomes didn't throw for 4,000 yards. Jalen Hurts, I don't know if he had 3,500 yards.
I want to say
did he get to
around 33. Oh.
Like it's just, we are in a different world, man.
Oh, 2,900
yards for the Super Bowl champion.
Yeah.
Why is 4,000 yards this have to reach milestone? Because Jared Goff did it? How'd their playoff run go?
My favorite thing that I heard, I don't know when this came out, over the weekend, but I saw the Tyson Bagent interview that Cap did with Bagent. No hair Bajan's weird to me.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not,
weird. The
it-
bald Bajan thing is bizarre.
my guy JC from the show was like, I thought it was PCA for like 20 minutes. And I was like, why is he talking about quarterback play? But Tyson Bagent was just like, I keep hearing people complain about 4,000-yard passer. You go throw the football in that way.
Yeah, right.
Like, now, to push back, I've watched quarterbacks year after year after year come into Soldier Field and throw the football in that wind for 400-yard days. But it is one of those where it's like, over an entire season, the elements playing into it, there's probably going to be more times than not where you don't have a 4,000-yard passer. But it would be nice to see Caleb get there. The thing for me that I love is I'm glad that Ben Johnson is literally just, I don't care what he said. I don't care how he felt. By the way, at the end of it, before he was a Bear, he felt like I can do this for the Bears and I want to come here.
Yes.
That's the end of it. And you got a 3,500-yard passing season out of him in a season where we now pretty much have it confirmed that Shane Waldron was not watching tape with this guy by the end of the season. They basically left him on his own. They had to let him. He's trying to figure it out. He's like, I'm just cutting the tape on and watching and trying to see what I'm looking for here. You had a pretty good rookie year in that situation while being sacked 68 times. I think you'll probably get the 4,000 yards. So
it feels. I'm not going to say likely. I just don't know that that's the league we're playing in anymore. And look, the NFL does evolve on its own. We could be entering another decade where everybody ran the ball so well last year. We're going back to one high and loaded boxes, and now everybody's got 4,800 yards again.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing too. You got to take into account, right? Is there going to be an adjustment to where, versus most of these teams, you have no choice but to play down. Versus the Eagles, you have no choice but to play down. Their game is completely predicated on Saquon Barkley and the tush push. How the NFC North is set up. You're probably going to be playing close to the line a lot with the amount of running backs that are in this league now. Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason are on the same team now. You know what I mean? Like there are more running backs now that are getting more of the carries, more of the looks, more of the. And I think I'll say this: some elite offensive line play around the league, especially in that interior. I think there's probably more centers and guard play than we've seen in the NFL for a long time that's actually above average to really good to elite. And that's actually making it more feasible for you to run the football that way.
Interestingly, outside of guys like Tristan Wirfs and Jordan Mailata, I think we're seeing some of the worst tackle plays we've seen in a really long time.
Yeah.
So that has also affected, I think, how impactful passing games can be.
Yeah.
Especially, I'm talking really blindside blockers because there are some elite right tackles, which you think of Penei Sewell, Darnell Wright starting to enter that conversation to an extent. But yeah, I think it's just been a different league. And the 4,000-yard thing, it doesn't have to sit there like some must achieve.
Yeah.
Win games. That's all anybody cares about.
100%.
You win games, Caleb will be happy. You can't win games without him being good. So that is also just locked in. Like, everything's priced into winning games.
100%.
And what the numbers look like at the end of it, the only one I care about is the W column.
Remember how good we all felt about Mitch after a 12-4 season, where we were like, "Wow,
he had
the kicker screwed him."
Mitch threw for 32 touchdowns.
Yeah, is that right? I thought Mitch had like 24 and 12. Is that right? 32.
He had a 32 touchdown season with the Chicago Bears.
Was that including rushing?
No, it was 32 passing touchdowns. 32 touchdowns.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie to you. I gotta fact check that one. I don't remember that at all. Let's see.
He's one of 4 guys in history that have had 30 touchdowns on this team. It's Jay, it's Mitch, it's Sid Luckman, and it's McMahon.
Okay, it gave me the college stats too.
Yeah, you gotta get those.
Yeah, you gotta get
That's
those.
really important.
24 touchdowns.
Was that his rookie season?
No, second year. 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He's never had a 30 passing touchdown season.
Whatever.
In his career. I was sitting here. I was in shock. I was like, what are we talking about right now?
with rushing then? Because
rushing touchdowns.
Here again is your daily warning to the listening viewing audience. Don't use AI. Because I Google searched 30 touchdown seasons for the Chicago Bears, and Google AI threw me Mitch Trubisky 32 touchdowns.
27 touchdowns in total. He had 3 rushing touchdowns.
Where did this come from?
I do not know.
Again, folks, Google AI is not your friend.
It is not. Oh, did you just stop at the top one where it like gives you the breakdown of
Well, I
like these
did.
are the guys?
Bears 30 touchdown seasons, and it popped up. These are the guys.
Maybe the Bears scored 30 touchdowns in total that year.
I'm like, now I want to know where that number came from.
Oh God.
So don't use AI. AI is not your friend.
Let's talk a little bit more. I think. Listen, I love the fact that we've got the number out there. Meet it and meet the wins. That's all I care about. Meet the wins. You win the win column. You're going to win the day, and you're going to win the PR. And no one's going to care about any of the comments that were made before he was
100%.
a Chicago Bear. Let's keep this thing moving along, though. Hit that like button if you have not done so. Subscribe to the page. Leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Let's talk about some of the odds. Some of the odds coming out on the Chicago Bears. Very early odds, and these are extremely subject to change if a Trey Hendrickson trade were to go down. But I woke up this morning to an article from the Chicago Tribune, which I thought was very well written, and it talked about games that the Chicago Bears were favored. And I was a little bit surprised because of how some of these games are on the schedule now that the Bears are favored in so few, I guess I should say. Not that I was expecting a ton more, but a couple of the games where the Bears are favored, I was like, okay, that's a little bit of a shock. And a couple of them where they're getting kind of the dog in that game, I thought those were some shocks as well. Favored in 7 of 17 games, Shea. Running through it real quick. Vikings, they're a 1.5 point favorite. Lions, they're a 4.5 point dog week 2. Cowboys, they're a 3-point favorite. Raiders, week 4, they're a 1.5 point favorite by week 5. Week 6, by the way, that Raiders game, only game on the road that the Bears are favored in. Week 6 versus the Commanders, 4.5 point dog. Week 7 versus the Saints, 7.5 point favorite. That feels insane. I know the Saints suck.
They're horrible.
But 7.5 is a lot.
Yeah, but they're horrible.
That is true. Next week, we get shafted yet again. 7-point dog versus the Ravens.
Yep.
After that, 3-point dog versus the Bengals. Then you got a 5.5 point favorite versus the Giants. Week 11, a 2.5 point dog versus the Vikings. Week 12, 2.5 point favorite versus the Steelers. Week 13, another 7-point dog versus the Eagles.
Yep. 14,
3.5 point dog versus the Packers. 15, 7-point favorite versus the Browns. 16, 1.5 point dog versus the Packers. 17, 3.5 point dog versus the Niners. 18, 1.5 point dog versus the Lions. Were there, when you looked through this, were you surprised that the Bears were favored in so few of these games, or did that feel right to you?
Yeah, it all kind of feels right. And obviously, it's very subject to change. You got trade for Trey Hendrickson. You can flip a couple of the shorter ones into favorites, and you can add a couple points to the ones where they are favored, and you become a short dog or shorter dog against the Ravens and the Eagles. But no, this looks about right. And what I think is fascinating is their win total sitting at 8.5. And the same book that has their win total at 8.5 is happy to put out point spreads where they're favored in 7 of 17 games. They're telling you to go over.
Yeah.
They're going to win all 7 games they're favored, plus 2 they're not. I don't even think they'll win all 7 games that they're favored.
Yeah,
They will win games where they are not favored. But the calculus to get to 9 wins becomes really difficult when you look at the point spreads.
I think the Cowboys one surprised me that the Bears were a 3-point favorite on that one. I get it, it's at home. I get it, that's a game where a lot of changing parts in there. But you gave Matt Eberflus Michael Parsons, and he's a pretty good DC. I don't think that defense is going to suck. Dak Prescott is still there. Is that literally just we do not believe at all in Schottenheimer? That's how that feels to me. Like, we think you're going to be horrible this season.
It's on its face. It's the one that I looked at that I was like, I don't. If there's one I expect to change significantly by the time we actually get to that game, it's probably that one.
Yeah.
And I could see the Cowboys actually ending up the favorites, especially if they have a good first couple weeks. Granted, they play the Eagles out of the gate, and they'll probably get their heads taken off. The Dak thing, CD and George Pickens, maybe their passing game gets a little better. Defensively, I don't know. I really don't know what it looks like with Eberflus. And honestly, Soldier Field's going to be a jail cell. Eberflus is going to come in here and get booed relentlessly.
Yeah.
If you thought Juan Soto at Yankee Stadium over the weekend was something, wait till Matt Eberflus comes back after the Caleb Williams story dropped about not watching film. He's going to walk onto that field. I'll be shocked if people. Listen. This is not.
You're
I'm
not telling them to do this.
trying to incite anything.
Feels a little righty.
He might get batteries thrown at him.
Don't do that. Don't do that. We're not doing
The
it.
fans are crazy.
Yeah.
I just don't do that. I'm being hyperbolic. But the point is, it's going to be a snake pit.
Yes.
That's going to be as unfriendly an environment. And it's the Cowboys who are ultimately always hated. But you add in the Eberflus aspect, that is going to be a torture chamber for Matt Eberflus.
In that game, EO, I don't know if they have this on there. Is there an over-under on amount of nicknames called from the sideline for Matt Eberflus when he returns to see his players? Hey there, Crusher. What's going on there?
What's up, Laser?
What's up, Laser? What's going on there, Eagle? Wasn't that the Canadian Eagle?
They'll
We'll call
just
him
wave
Canadian
their
Eagle.
hands at him. Like, go away, dude. We don't want to hear this.
Does Caleb shake Flus's hand just for the cameras, or is it straight up? Nah, we got beef right now.
I don't know. It's gonna be fascinating. I can't wait to get to that game.
That's the one probably outside of the Lions game, because I think the Lions week 2, which I'm not gonna lie to you, I get it 4.5 point is a little bit more than just a home field advantage, but it doesn't sound like Vegas is big fans of a lot of the moves the Lions had to make this offseason either, because they've got the Bears a lot closer to the Lions than I thought they were going to be, especially in Detroit.
Keep in mind divisional opponents.
That's true.
So
that's true.
Spreads are always a little smaller for divisional games unless you're really just uniquely horrible. The Ben Johnson factor, and I think the Lions, it's fair to bake in a little uncertainty. They lost both of their coordinators. They did not add a premium edge rusher alongside Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
I don't think they got markedly worse. I also don't think they got better. So it's going to be interesting to see what they are. I think the little bit of uncertainty. Look, they're the favorite to win the division. That should be the way that it is. I think their win total is at 10.5. That is among the very highest in the league. So the respect has been placed in that market. It's just divisional opponents. They think this is going to be a really competitive, really good division. Everybody's going to be kind of bunched up. The Vikings stuff is wild to me. 1.5 point favorite. The Vikings roster is very, very good.
Yeah.
Their quarterback
got better.
Is the biggest question mark they have, which is the most important question mark.
Yeah.
And I think if that weren't week 1, you would be dogs at home. But because it's week 1, because it's a quarterback who had 2 knee surgeries, who we don't even know for sure if he's going to be the starter in J.J. McCarthy, that's where you get the 1.5 point favorite. And once we get to week 1, like keep in mind, it's May.
Yeah.
These will change. I kind of feel like the Bears will end up being a dog.
I would agree with that, because I think you also have to take into account, listen, you don't move on from Sam Darnold if he doesn't see something in J.J.
Yeah, of course.
Like, and I'm not talking about like something like, oh yeah, we think he can be Sam Darnold. No, you think that this guy can be phenomenal, because I think even if you think he can be Sam Darnold, do you take the chance and move on and go like, yeah, but we can let him develop. We can let him figure it out. We got to pay money for him, but we got a good enough team here. To me, that's the one where it's like, when I look at the Vikings, I wonder what Kevin O'Connell saw in practice. I wonder what Kevin O'Connell saw in those preseason games that made him go through an entire season of seeing Sam Darnold be surprisingly, really, really, like, he wasn't just good. It was like, we're winning games because of Sam Darnold, which we give to Kevin O'Connell. But
you're going to send me on a Sam Darnold tangent.
Oh boy, my whole point in it is, you saw something in JJ where you were like, it was the end of the season after you got eliminated from the playoffs, and he was like, we had a good time. That was fun, wasn't it? All right, JJ, get ready.
I think Sam Darnold sucks, and I think Seattle's going to pay a very hefty price for having signed him. I think it's a disaster waiting to happen. I think he's bad.
Yeah.
The thing with Sam Darnold and the Vikings is you put him indoors, you gave him an elite defense, you had elite wide receivers, you had an elite running game. But in close games and against top opponents and against teams that blitzed, he was awful. He holds the ball too long. His dropbacks are too long. He's not mobile enough to escape those moments. The arm strength is fine. Everything's just pretty much average.
Yeah.
You gave him one of the best play callers in the league, elite weapons, and you put him indoors. But when he got blitzed or had to go outside, he looked a lot like the pumpkin he has always been. And now he goes to Seattle, which is not the greatest weather city, which is outdoors, where he doesn't have Kevin O'Connell calling his plays for him, where he's going to get blitzed by NFC West defenses, including the LA Rams twice who turned him into the biggest of pumpkins in a playoff game last year and beat him on a Thursday night game. I think Seattle made a terrible mistake.
Now here's the thing. I think two things can be true. I think one, I thought Sam Darnold was fine last season. I do agree with the points you made that those were the
He
things that
holds
he
the
struggles
ball
with.
way too long.
Yeah, but I'm waiting for Justin Jefferson to get open. That's the whole thing. Now the difference is you just sent him to Seattle, where I'm waiting for that guy to get open.
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
You know what I mean? Like it's again,
He's very good.
Good job. Good
He's
job.
very good.
Good job sticking the Njigba on that.
I know. Listen,
But I really like the DK Metcalf is the guy that you would be like, okay, he's down there somewhere. I'm just gonna fire this thing up there,
Steeler.
figure it out, steal it. Like I
think it's
do
terrible.
agree with you. I think Seattle is going to get the pumpkin of Sam Darnold.
You know what's funny? Not that like we're on a total tangent here, which is fine. I love talking football.
Yeah.
But last year I was high on Seattle. I thought Seattle could make the playoffs. I thought they'd be way better than people expected, and they were. And this year they're one of my favorite regression teams. I think they're going to be terrible.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that Sam Darnold is going to. Some quarterbacks need that system. Like I'm not going to lie to you. I get it if you're Sam Darnold, go get the bag. But go get the bag where it's actually going to be beneficial to you staying on the football field.
Yep.
And I feel like he didn't do that at all. The one surprise that I guess that stood out to me is that Week 9 game there. Bengals +3 at home. Basically just saying the Bengals are at home, so we're giving them the advantage. I think that says a lot about a belief in a Bears defense bouncing back. Because Joe Burrow puts up 40+ very easily in this NFL.
I think it says something else. I think it's a very strong lack of belief in the Bengal defense.
100%.
And
100%.
they might trade Trey Hendrickson. They seem to be another one of these darlings this offseason because they locked up Jamar Chase. They got T. Higgins back. They made everybody happy. They paid Durham Smythe and Mike Gesicki are in good shape. So Burrow's got all his weapons. They ran the ball pretty well with Chase Brown, the kid out of Illinois last year. I think people are a little higher on the Bengals. I'm not because their defense is still garbage. And if you end up trading Trey Hendrickson, you take a defense that's garbage and you make it worse garbage.
Yeah, I agree. The Bengals are one of those teams where there is no answer for how they can win outside of Joe Burrow. And he had a great season last year. He was amazing all year long. And we watched him lose game after game after game because you couldn't slow down anybody. You couldn't stop offenses. They made Russ and the Steelers offense look like one of the greatest offenses we had seen. And I think that was the first week Russ got to start, I think, coming in. And it was just like, oh, Russ is clearly the answer. Like, you're sticking with Russ.
The deep ball is back.
He is not on the team anymore.
Yep.
They were like, we will figure it out at quarterback. We're not bringing Russ back.
Yeah, I don't think that highly of the Bengals. I think that's why you're seeing what you're seeing right now with the +3. Going on the road to Cincinnati is brutal, especially 1 week after going on the road to Baltimore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's just a general lack of respect for the Bengal defense.
When you look at the schedule, do you think the road games are going to affect the Bears a lot this year?
Yeah,
there's a lot in a row.
You have more road games than home games because the NFL's stupid and went to 17 games instead of ripping the Band-Aid off and going to 18.
Yeah.
So we get this unbalanced schedule where you play more road games than home games. You're going to have multiple times, like this stretch after the bye week, where 4 of 6 games are on the road.
I mean, that's literally how you finish your season. You're going at Commanders, you come home for the Saints. At Ravens, at Bengals, you come home for the Giants. At Vikings, home for the Steelers. At Eagles, at Packers.
Yeah.
Like, that is a stretch that I think is like, in looking at the spreads and the numbers, I think that was taken into account as well there.
6 out of 9 games out of the bye week are going to be on the road.
That's tough. Especially if you get in like if you go Commanders, maybe you beat the Saints there, Ravens, Bengals, that could be a 1-4 or 1-3 stretch. That's one of those times where it's like, okay, it's make or break time this season. And I think the Bears are going to be better. I think the Bears are a much more competitive team than what we saw last year. They gave up. which maybe speaks to them lacking competition. But like after that Washington game, we've heard it multiple times now.
Sure.
It broke the team. They were done.
Yeah.
The problem is you have that same team coming back.
Well, here's what I'll say, and I've always been pretty consistent with this. Like, we can play the schedule game if you want to, but I always think it's kind of silly. You don't know how the season's going to play out, the injury stuff.
Yeah.
The first blush reaction is fun. I look at the over/under 8.5 wins. I'm not going to touch it. I wouldn't bet it with your money because I think it's pretty much dead on. If you're going to be good in the NFL, you're going to have to beat good teams. So looking at the schedule and going, well, this didn't shape up really nicely. Well, if you're any good, you're going to find ways to win a few.
Yeah.
It's the NFL. The worst team in the league is not that far away from the best team in the league relative to like the NBA, where you've got teams that are just pleasure pillows showing up to get their heads taken off. That doesn't exist. Every team in the NFL is a difficult game.
Yes.
There is no easy win. So if you're going to be a good team, and I think the Bears have a chance to be one, you're going to have to win difficult games.
100%. That is a given, especially with how the Bears' schedule lines up this year. Ben Johnson did not get the favor that Matt Eberflus got last season, and the NFC North got last season.
Last year, you got the gift of playing the AFC South, and you ended the season with 5 wins.
The number, you literally are all 4 of our wins against the South before that 5th win.
Well, no, they lost to the Colts.
Oh, we lost to the Colts. That's right. Who's the 4th win in there? Because we didn't beat a division opponent until the Packers the final game. Tennessee. We got clapped by the Patriots. Jacksonville.
But see,
it is what it is. But
it's the perfect way to put it. You had the Patriots on your schedule. People believed they were going to be the worst team in football. And there was a point in time where, barring the Giants doing dumb stuff and the Patriots doing dumb stuff, like beating the Bills in the final week of the season, they would have been the worst team in football.
Yeah.
They beat you in your building. If you're bad,
by a lot.
If you're bad, you're going to lose to bad teams. If you're good, you're going to beat bad teams, and you're going to have to beat good teams. So I don't get into the whole, like, this schedule didn't break out well. Because if the Bears go out and show us that they're a good team with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, a good quarterback, you will beat good teams.
I'll tell you what changes these odds dramatically, and I want to talk about Caleb Williams here real quick. You beat the Vikings week 1 at home, and you find a way to go into Ford Field and beat the Lions. That Cowboys game is a lot different, possibly, because their first 2 games are brutal to start the season. That Raiders game looks a lot different. Now, all of a sudden, I think you are having different conversations because now not only are you starting off the season with 2 wins, you're 2-0 in the division. The belief is now, this is the toughest division in football, and the Bears are sitting atop it.
Yeah. And you got
Ben
2
Johnson,
games in hand.
You're going to see numbers change a lot throughout the season.
Well, and I think the Lions got jobbed on the schedule thing. And I never say this, but the Lions did. It's funny when you look at the toughest schedules in the league, and like 4 of the top 10 are NFC North teams because they have to play each other and because they have the same crossover games.
Yeah.
So all of the division is playing a brutal schedule. The Lions get the most difficult schedule in football. How about all but one of your road games are against teams that were better than 500 last year? Enjoy that. Swallow that pill, because you know what? It's never happened before in the history of the league. It's the first time in NFL history that all but one road game for a team is a team that was above 500 a year ago.
That's insane.
They have the most difficult schedule maybe in the history of the NFL, factually speaking, the Lions, which is another reason why I think you see the point spreads you see. There will be attrition on that team. There will be, you lost 2 coordinators and you got handed the most difficult schedule in football, maybe in football history. Why should we be certain they're going to be great?
I keep saying this, like and I don't think that it is a fall off. I don't think that the division falls off. I don't think that the NFC North all of a sudden just becomes a pumpkin. I think that you racked up a lot of wins. I think when you look at it, though, right? Last year, 14 wins for the Lions, 14 wins for the Vikings. 3 of those wins come against the AFC South. Actually, all 4 of the wins for the Lions come against the AFC South. I think there is a world where it's like 10 wins is a great season for the Lions this year.
It is.
Where the regression is some of those games that were gimmies, you don't have any of those this year. The Bears don't have any of those this year. The Vikings don't have any of those this year. So it's like when you start to look at it, when I see, I said when I went on Fox, I could see the Bears getting 9 wins. I can find a 10th in there, but I'm sitting at 9-8. That to me is a massive jump versus this schedule because I think the Lions will be around 10, 11 wins. I think the Vikings will be around 9 to 10 wins. I think the Packers will be around 9 to 10 wins.
Yep.
Like, I think everyone else is coming back to the middle, and you're rising up to meet them in the middle.
This division is going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
I agree with the way you framed it. And the reality is somebody's probably going to have to take all the lumps and end up finishing last. And if I had to pick who that team is going to be, I wouldn't pick Chicago.
Green Bay?
Yeah. They feel the most likely to have a little trouble to me this year. And I don't know if it's just me drinking orange and blue Kool-Aid or if it's Jordan Love wasn't that good. Granted, he was hurt, but he's been paid a lot of money and he wasn't that good. And their defense is good, but it is relying on Xavier McKinney, who is aging up, and Jair Alexander, who is aging up and has been a trade candidate in the past. Kenny Clark's great, but it's a lot of guys who are getting older on the defensive side. And I'm sorry, the Matthew Golden thing, that's your first round pick. Another wide receiver, too, for Jordan Love. Like, that's the way that feels to me.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say about Matthew Golden that I think Jordan Love doesn't have with any of his other receivers is he's pretty healthy.
Yeah.
And that consistency, I think, will help Jordan Love. I think they're still there. Like I said, if the Packers are 4th in the division, it's with an 8 or 9 win record in my mind. I don't think it's them falling off of this massive cliff where they're a 5-win team this year. I think it's going to be insane. I want to finish it out with this. We want to talk about the Caleb Williams passing yards. They set his passing over-under at 35.50.5.
Yeah.
Disrespect or right about where Caleb Williams should be?
Well, Eric walked in and said, why is Caleb's number so low? And I just kind of laughed because that to me is not a low number at all. And we looked at some of the odds. Joe Burrow sits at 4,100. I have to imagine, I can't say this factually, but I'd be stunned if it's not true. Joe Burrow has the highest passing yards over-under in the league, would be my guess.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, who won MVP last year, is lined in the 3,700 range. So you look at 35.50, and if you're one of the Caleb Williams fans or a Bears stan, and you're like, why is that number so low? Why are they disrespecting our quarterback? No, 35.50 is a damn good year.
It sounds like they're actually trying to hype him up.
It's the number he achieved last year, and I would imagine they are lining him somewhere in the top 12-ish of passing yards numbers for quarterbacks. Yeah. You're in the Dak Prescott range. You're in the Brock Purdy range. You're in the Josh Allen range. You're well above Jalen Hurts range, I'm sure. That's a good number. That's a number you should see and go, oh, they think he's going to have a good season with a new coordinator who has been deemed maybe the best play caller in all of football, with 3 great weapons at wide receiver, DJ Moore, and we hope Rome Odunze, and we hope Luther Burden, with a new tight end in Colston Loveland, with maybe more opportunity to throw the ball, and less bomb it deep, try to find somebody, more, we're going to make things happen for you. How do you think Jared Goff got to 4,200 yards? It wasn't 50-yard bombs. It was dink and dunk short stuff and Ben Johnson creativity where you throw the ball 5 yards down the field and then Amon-Ra flips it to Jamison Williams on a lateral and boom, there's a 50-yard pass play.
Yeah. I do. It is funny. I saw this going around over X the last couple of weeks. There's one channel that's putting out like the Caleb Williams plus 20 yards plus 20 air yard pass plays. He's sailing some pass. It's bad. He's got to hit him in the hands. He's got to be better at that. But they put out like Jordan Love. They put out all of these people. And then like I was waiting for the Jared Goff one. And I was like, oh, I guess he didn't really throw the football down the field massively that often because there was so much operation from the slot with Amon-Ra St. Brown. There was a ton of operation with Jamison Williams in the short passing game. Jahmyr Gibbs literally is a short passing demon.
Yep.
And go with what works for the team that you have.
When he did go deep, most of the time it was because Jamison Williams got an opening in the middle of the field and torched everybody, and you're just lofting it 45 yards and letting him run.
Yeah, it is. I think you also have to take into account, too, The big improvement for the Bears, if Caleb Williams has 3,500 passing yards and your run game improves, that is massive for your team actually winning games. Because the problem last
Yeah,
year,
you're talking about probably 6,000 yards of offense, close to it.
the problem last year to me wasn't the fact, like, you go through these games, it's like, okay, Caleb had like 250, 2 touchdowns. Who's the leading rusher? Caleb Williams, 6 carries for 45 yards.
Right.
That's a problem. Like, I think that's going to be the thing where I look at this number when you pair it up with the fact that Josh Allen, I think he was 3,700, you said, like, it's still in that range. But is the offense actually improving? Because passing all over the field is great, but it doesn't mean anything if you can't run the football, like, at all. And you couldn't run the football at all.
If Caleb gets you 3,600 passing yards, and we'll say you have a 3,600-yard passing offense, and you tack on 2,000 yards on the ground total, you're talking about a 5,700-yard offense.
Yeah.
That's a damn good offense.
That's a top 5 offense in football, probably.
Yeah.
Like,
That's fantastic.
I would feel, and I look at the number, I feel good about that number being attached to Caleb Williams, because I think it does speak to what Ben Johnson said kind of early on as well. This isn't all on him. This is a team game. We're getting everyone involved. It's not just Caleb Williams. You go out there and figure it out. You went out and you signed 4 out of your 5, or I should say 3 out of your 5 offensive linemen. You drafted a 4th, and Darnell Wright was already on the team. Guess what they're all really freaking good at? Run blocking.
Yep. And again, my concern with this team will not be the offense. I think the offense is going to be good. I think it's going to be one of the best Bears offenses that Bears fans have seen. I really believe that. My concern will always be the other side of football,
The defensive side.
And if they go out and trade for Trey Hendrickson, I will come in here with a pitcher of orange Kool-Aid, and I will chug it on camera. I will destroy a shirt.
Ryan Poles, I need you to trade for him now just for the content on this.
But that's where I'm at. And I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid until they make a move that shows that I should.
Is the only thing I would ask, though, is does a Trey Hendrickson move? I think it absolutely puts you over the top, right? It turns your team into a team that we're looking at. We're not saying they should just make the playoffs. It's like you should be trying to compete for a Super Bowl this year. But does making that move and the pieces you would have to lose to make that move keep you at that level of play? You're probably going to have to post June 1 buyout. More than likely, Jaquan Brisker is a move that's going to have to be made. Cole Kmet has to be gone at that point in some sort of trade, because you just don't have the money to pay Trey Hendrickson.
Well, yeah, it's the risk. I mean, you take on a contract and you would have to pay Trey Hendrickson north of $30 million.
Yeah.
That's going to be the cost. That's a third contract. There's questions on if he could live up to the production that would be required
Probably
to make
not.
that contract work. I would argue probably not, but who knows? And then you have to make decisions on other players because of the fact that you've done this. It makes you much more win now, and it could shorten the window. But I won't weep over second round pick and a 4th round pick or whatever it ends up being to get him, because you'll have him.
Yeah.
And you'll have an opportunity in the next 2-3 seasons to go and win a Super Bowl. And these are the kinds of moves that you make while your quarterback is making pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. I would also argue, too, like, if you were going to go out there and try and add a Trey Hendrickson, you're doing that because Grady Jarrett's a little bit on the other side of the hill, right? Does that bring him back on this side because now nobody's focusing as much on Grady Jarrett because we can't double team? Does that add 2 sacks to Montez Sweat's sack total? Because if Trey Hendrickson, I think the thought process for everybody is Trey Hendrickson's got to be 15 and up on the sack numbers. If Trey Hendrickson's 12.5, but it improves Grady Jarrett back to an 8-sack guy, and it adds 2 sacks to Montez Sweat, and he's back to being a 10-sack guy, you've now got one of the best defensive lines of football.
And look, Javon Dexter didn't handle double teams well last year, and he didn't get a ton of them, but he did pretty well in true pass sets for the most part. Like, he wasn't Jalen Carter, but he was productive.
Yeah.
And you free up everybody. Trey Hendrickson just means it's one less guy on the defensive line that can get double.
I'm all for it. I love it. I think that it's a move. You figure it out. And I think you said it perfectly. Because Caleb is making so little money, he's paid very well. But he's making so much little money comparatively.
He's not making what he will make in 3 years.
No, he might be making $750 million in 3 years.
Well, no, he won't. We're not going that far. This isn't Major League Baseball.
Well, listen. Where we at now? Are we at 650? Highest paid QB in the league right now, 650, right?
No, it's Dak. On a yearly basis, it's Dak at $60 million a year. Mahomes signed that like 10-year, $450 million deal.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's in that range. At the 750, that's not going to happen because the years will never be there.
Well, I think all of it that becomes a Dodger situation where it's like we're restructuring 4 years into this.
Again, tangent that maybe people don't care about, but Brock Purdy just got paid $52 or $53 million a year.
Yeah.
He comes in a couple million below the Josh Allen, Joe Burrow range, who are below $5 million below Dak Prescott territory. I do wonder if people saw the Cowboys pay Dak $60 and they were like, "You just can't keep going this way," because you bring Brock Purdy in at a lower number, you bring Josh Allen at a lower number. Maybe there is a market reset happening right now where that's the top dollar.
Yeah.
And oops, the Cowboys were a little quick on the trigger because they felt like they had to be, and they overpaid Dak Prescott.
Quick on the trigger. Didn't they make him wait pretty much until right before
they
week
always
one?
make people
like,
wait.
I don't know about quick on the trigger there.
But you get my point. This offseason,
I do think
they
yeah,
handed him $60 million a year, and then you see what happened in the rest of the market where Purdy comes in below Trevor Lawrence and Josh Allen and Jordan Love and Joe Burrow. Uh-oh.
Is that more of a to me when I saw the Purdy contract,
Purdy
I
and
was
Dak
like,
should make the same amount of money is the point I'm making.
yes, 100%. But I saw the Purdy contract as we believe Shanahan can do this with anybody. You need to take this money now or we will move on from it.
There's also the interesting wrinkle of a full no trade clause in his contract. Because I would bet anything that his agent said, we want $61 million a year because Dak just got paid. And they said, we can't do it, but we can give you 52 and a full no trade.
Yeah, that's a wild thing to hear from Brock Purdy. I'm not going to lie. When I saw that, I was like, he's got – how many NCCs are in?
I think Kirk Cousins
It's like two of them, right? Two or three?
Kirk Cousins had the only one in the league, and now there's Brock Purdy.
Those are your two no trade clauses.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Trey Hendrickson can't get paid.
If that doesn't tell you that the quarterback market ballooned out of control, nothing will.
Hey, man, let us know how you guys feel in the comments below. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. For Shea Norling, it's your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again. Let us know your thoughts on the odds. Do you feel like the Caleb Williams number is disrespectful? Should it be 4,000 plus? Right up there with Joe Burrow. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear down. One love.